This is a pokeweed, and the word poke in pokeweed comes from the Native American word pocan, meaning any plant that's used to make red or yellow dye. And today we're going to not only learn how to identify a pokeweed, but we're also going to use it to make a natural pink dye. This herbaceous perennial is native to North America and can grow anywhere from 3 to 10 feet tall and has a robust erect branching pattern, and it typically can be found towering over other plants along roadsides, in yards, and in old fields. When pokeweeds pop up in yards, they can be pretty weedy, especially because they form a large taproot that can grow to be about 12 inches long and 4 inches in diameter. If this taproot isn't removed, the pokeweed will most likely grow back. The leaves of pokeweed are green, alternate, ovate to lance-shaped, and can grow to be about 12 inches long. If crushed, the leaves may have a slight unpleasant or bitter smell to them, and the leaves are actually edible when the plant is very young, and they were even commercially canned at one point. Although, if you're looking to collect your own pokeweed leaves, know that you shouldn't eat them raw since the entire plant, especially the roots and berries, are toxic. Though you can rinse the toxins out of the young leaves in early spring by boiling them a couple times. Eating any other part of the plant could result in many different symptoms, such as diarrhea, vomiting, spasms, coma, or even death. It's recommended that gloves are worn when handling this plant because if you have a cut, toxins might make their way into your body through that cut. Probably the best identifying factor of pokeweed is its stem, which may be a purplish red color or green with purplish red streaks. This contrasts nicely with its green leaves. During May through October, pokeweed produces small, white to greenish flowers arranged in dense cylindrical clusters. Their flowers have no petals but 5 sepals, 10 stamen, and a single pistil. These flowers aren't particularly showy, but they're the precursor to what we're really interested in, the berries. The berries are dark purple to black with 6 to 12 seeds, and they grow in dense drooping clusters. These seeds can remain viable in the soil for about 40 years, and this just adds to how weedy this species can be. Now, although their berries are visually striking, remember that these berries are toxic if ingested, so do not eat them. Even if it is really tempting, it's best to leave them for the birds, foxes, raccoons, and all the other critters that depend on them as a food source. Alright, now that we know how to identify some pokeweed and we've got our gloves on, let's go ahead and collect some berries.
Alright, I'm here in my kitchen and I've got some pokeberries that I've collected. I've also got my large pot and some water. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on our stove to high. And we are going to add all of our pokeberries that we've collected. They're already leaking, but we're going to add them to our large pot here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cover up all of these pokeberries with enough water to just cover them. And that took the whole pitcher, so it's about 2 quarts. So now I'm just going to use my gloved hand and kind of just mix them around a little bit. You don't really want to touch these pokeberries with your bare hands, so that's why I'm wearing a glove. So yeah, I'm just getting them all nice and mixed up in there. And then I'm going to put our lid on, and we're going to have this boil for about an hour. So while we have our dye going inside of this big pot here, we're actually going to work on our pre-treatment solution in our little pan here. So I've got water in here, just plain old water right now, but then I'm going to add about a half cup of white vinegar to our pan here. And what this vinegar is going to do is it's going to help our fabric uptake that color a little bit better. I'm going to dye a simple plain white cotton t-shirt later on, but we're just going to let this try to simmer for now, and then we're going to add our t-shirt to this. Alright, we are boiling right now, so I'm just going to take our shirt and add it to our little pre-treatment solution. Okay, and I'm going to turn down the temperature. I'm going to turn it to low. Woo! It's getting steamy. Oh my gosh. Okay. Just gonna make sure the shirt gets fully covered. It's kind of like when you're dyeing an Easter egg, you know how it's like a vinegar solution? It's kind of what this is. Alright, then we're just going to cover this back up, and we're going to let that sit for about an hour as well. Okay, it's been an hour, and we've been boiling. Oh! Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to turn our temperature to off. Oh my god, it's going crazy in there. We've lost a lot of water in there, so I'm just going to add some water back to it. Just enough to cover our pokeberries, and then I'm just going to mix it up. And I'm going to let this sit for about an hour, and I'm gonna cover it up when I'm letting it sit. So, all right, so yeah, we're just gonna let that sit for an hour, and then we'll strain it, and then we should have our dye. While our dye here is cooling, what we're going to do is we're going to work on our pre-treatment solution. So we're going to add our mordant, which we're going to use iron sulfate. And I'm just going to pop a few pills into our little pan here. So let me get those out real quick. All right, I've got 5 pills. I'm just going to sprinkle them in here, and then we're going to mix this up to try to get them to dissolve. And this should make our dye a little bit darker and have it soak in a bit better as well, just in combination with that vinegar. Now I'm going to turn up our heat. I'm going to turn it about halfway between high and medium. Alright, now I'm going to cover this up, and we are going to let this boil for about a half hour. It's been about an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and drain out our pokeberries. I've got this little setup at the sink. I've got a cheesecloth and a bowl, and I'm just going to take this the pot of the dye and the pokeberries and pour it all in there. Okay. Alright. Gotta get all those pokeberries down in there. Okay. Alright. I'm just gonna strain out all the juice. Looks like a nice dark color, so that's pretty good. Now we're just going to take all of our dye that we just strained, and we're going to put it back into our giant pot. Alright. Now we just got to take care of our pre-treated shirt. Now for our shirt, what I'm doing is I'm just going to rinse it in some cool water and then put it inside the dye. That's all. Alright, we've got our rinsed off shirt that has been pre-treated, and we're just going to slide it into our dye here and mix it on up. Alright, I hope that color stays, because it's a really pretty color. But we're just going to submerge this shirt. And I'm not going to turn the heat on. I'm just going to leave it submerged like that, cover it up, and we're going to let this sit for a couple of hours, maybe 2. Okay, so I lied a little bit. I actually let this shirt soak for about 24 hours. That's a lot different than 2 hours, but the color looks really good. I hope that it stays after I rinse it, because I'm just gonna rinse it out until the water runs clear. But if the color doesn't stay, then, well, I'm just gonna go stare at a wall or something. So let's go ahead and rinse the shirt out. Alright, this is what it's looking like right now. It's certainly holding a color. It's looking more like a orangish pink, sort of like a salmon color. But it's not exactly what I was looking for, but it still looks cute, and this is what we're going to go with. I'm actually going to throw this in the washer real quick, and also the dryer right after, and we'll see how much color it actually holds through that process. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, I'm going to walk on the screen now, and I just want to let you know that this is like a joke. Well, it's not a joke, it's reality. But you're going to see. Okay, I gotta fix this. You can tell that it's not 100% white. Well, maybe you can't on screen, but like it dyed a little bit and stayed in. But it looks like a white shirt. Like it has a slight orangish pink tint to it still. But I'm definitely gonna have to do it again. And try to get the color to stay in a bit better. So if anybody has any tips for doing that, please let me know. So yeah, it definitely looks like a shirt that a pokeberry was near at one point. It's like the mimosa equivalent of fabric dyeing. It's quite something. But no, I'm definitely going to try this again and hope for a better result. And please, 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 please provide me with some tips or tricks if you've done this before. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed making this off-white t-shirt with me. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the part 2 to this second part of this series. I'm dying!